Dobra Utra. Did I say that right, I hope?
Yep, you did.
Welcome again to Odessa, and I'd like you to meet Olga from Odessa Walks. You would not believe the list of interesting and offbeat walks that they have to offer. So don't just jump and take whatever your ship says. Investigate. They're on the web, and contact Olga. Olga, would you tell us a little bit about, first of all, what is this baby behind us?
So this is a very interesting and a little bit weird looking monument which was presented to the city by a Russian sculptor. So it's been here for a while now. It's called by the locals Kinder Surprise. Kinder Surprise. You know those chocolate eggs?
Yes.
So the surprise is inside the egg. So because it resembles the shape a little bit, so we call it that way. So we are standing on the cruise terminal, on a cruise pier in Odessa, and the old city is in front of us. So, and that's where we're gonna walk towards to start our tour.
Great.
There is a law in the old city that none of the roofs, none of the buildings can be higher than the opera house. So the highest rooftop you see is the rooftop of the opera house. You see a little bit to the left?
Yes, yes, I do.
Yep. The old city is in front of us, and originally on top of the hill, before Odessa times, there used to be a Turkish fort called Hacı Bey. Hacı Bey. Turks selected this area because Black Sea here makes a natural harbor. So it was very convenient for them to keep the fleet. So in 1780s, as a result of several Russo-Turkish wars, first Crimea became part of Russian Empire, but the land here was still under the Turks. On top of the cliff, Turks had the military fort, so surrounded by the walls, and at the bottom there used to be warehouses where Turks kept the goods, which were brought by the sea from Turkey and Greece. The shoreline was much closer. Where there is the road nowadays, over there used to be the only beach in the city center which selected two harbors. The harbor on the right and the harbor on the left. Then all this area was artificially created when they started expanding the port area at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th. In 1789, the Turkish fort was conquered by Russian troops, and that was not a part of strategic military attack. The guy who headed Russian troops, Jose de Rebaz, I'm sure you heard about him yesterday, it was his idea. He didn't coordinate that idea, he didn't share that idea with anybody else. And because partially his troops consisted of Cossacks, who had relatives, Cossacks, working for the Turks, that made the conquest very easy. They conquered the Turkish fort overnight. Turks drowned their light vessel fleet and ran away. Russians came here, brought back the vessels, and on the basis of the Turkish fleet formed the first following vessel fleet. When they finished construction of the boulevard on top of the cliff, they realized that the boulevard is standing at the end of the cliff. This soil erosion here happens quite often, lots of underground layers, so they needed something to stabilize. So that's how they came up with an idea of the steps.
Of protecting steps.
Yeah, but also the steps are the gift of Odessa's governor at that time to his wife, and he paid for the construction of the steps out of his own pocket.
Nice guy.
Yep.
Well, it really has become the icon of Odessa.
Yep.
Just as I think about Rome, the first thing I think of is either the Colosseum or the Spanish Steps, one or the other.
So they opened the first funicular in 1901. It was engineered by a local engineer, but the first carriages were brought from Paris. So in 1917, during the Bolshevik Revolution, of course, the funicular was closed. So then they kept reopening it and kept closing it, and finally, after World War II, they reopened the funicular. In 80s, it was exchanged with the escalator. You know the escalators they have in subways? So there was the same thing here. Escalator running in a tunnel. But it was very hard to maintain, and for most of the time it stood closed. So in the 90s, when they worked on restoring the original look and feel of this area, they restored the funicular because they say that that's sort of like an organic piece of a local complex here, architectural complex here.
Do they operate around the clock or every few
That's
minutes?
the
or what?
challenge. That's the challenge, and something to consider for cruise people who come here and decide to explore the city on their own. They open at 10 o'clock in the morning. So if your ship docks earlier, you either have to call the cab or walk up the steps.